And we are live recording. Very nice. So welcome everybody to Midday Cafe. I'm your host, Michael Gannotti, and I'm a technology specialist here at Microsoft. I've got a great panel today, so very excited. And we have some very interesting topics that I hope you're going to enjoy. But let's go ahead first and go round the horn, introducing yourselves and one brief thing that you did that was fun this weekend. So Scott.
I'm Scott Moore. I'm a team's technical specialist. Anything fun I did this weekend? I went mountain biking on Saturday, so I lived through that.
You're alive today. No bandages that are apparent, so that's good. All right, Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy DeWald, technical specialist on the team side. Something I did this weekend, did some ring shopping for a wedding here that's a couple months away. So moving along there.
That's pretty big, dude.
Yeah. Thanks. Nice.
Jim. Oh, no, excuse me. Kendra.
Sure. Hi, I'm an intelligence technical specialist. And the thing that I did that was fun, I did a lot of swimming. I think I jumped in a pool 3-4 times yesterday. So lots of laps. Lots of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pools are always fun, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
And Jim.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jim Warner. I'm a technical specialist. Let's see. I don't know if it was super fun, but yeah, I did a lot of yard work. Had a pleasant weekend here in Michigan, and played a little cornhole too. So.
And dude, I also, well, I was adjacent to cornhole. I didn't play it. I was at a wedding shower this weekend.
Oh, nice.
So you're in, I got to ask this. I forgot that. You're in Michigan. Where at in Michigan?
I'm a little bit north of Detroit.
North of where?
Troy.
Okay. All right. My wife's from Saginaw. That's why I was asking.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah.
So
not too far.
Yes. My wife's whole side of the family is Michigan. So great. So we have some very interesting topics today that we're going to be covering. I hope that you'll find them helpful. We'll have links after the fact, just as a reminder, as we record today's session. We always post this, and you can find myself, my colleagues here, out at aka.ms/HLS-blog. That's aka.ms/HLS-blog. You can also find us on Spotify, on iTunes, and on Google Podcasts. So if you want to join us, take us on the go there, feel free and share this with your colleagues. And please let us know if there's topics that you would like to hear, that you'd like to see us do. We're all on LinkedIn as well, and I'll have the links to our profiles with our names on the post. And certainly you can ask us there. You can ask us on the post itself and let us know how we can better serve you. But to kick off today, we have a very important topic. In fact, one of my customers from this last fiscal year, Jim, was freaking about this because they had not, even though they knew way back, they kind of went, yeah. And then all of a sudden, oh! So
kick the can.
Tell us what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the upcoming changes to the team's meeting recordings. So hopefully everyone's already taken a look at this. But yeah, there will be some people that have kind of kicked the can down the road. But really what's happening is starting on August 16th, all the team's meeting recordings will be saved to OneDrive for Business and SharePoint by default. So this means that you can no longer opt out like you've been doing for, potentially you've been doing for the last, 6-7 months since we've announced this. So when this change rolls out, the team's meetings recording storage mode policy will be ignored. So like I said, you won't be able to opt out after this. So it won't be possible after the 16th, once this change rolls out, to record any meetings into Stream. We recommend that the customers roll this feature out before this date so they can control the timing of the release. Let's see, what else? Okay, so as far as the existing recordings that are out there, there's some upcoming guidance for migrating that content from Stream Classic to OneDrive and SharePoint Online. I'm not prepared to really release any of that information. There are some links that will be provided afterwards.
Cool. So when they do this, though, there's a number of, people get free because they're like, change. But there's some positives some big positives that are coming about as a result of this. Can you talk to that a bit?
Yeah, of course. So one of the biggest things is really retention policies, right? So now you can target these recordings, these TMR, right, Teams meeting recordings with retention labels. So you can start getting rid of that content that's really old, or retaining content that's marked appropriately for however long your organizational policies deem. You get some information governance, you get permissions and sharing, right? So sharing wasn't really easy to do. You had to really do a bunch of things, download the recordings and get them out somewhere where you could share that. Now it's going to be in a place where you can share them automatically. Let's see. You got increased quotas. The recordings are available faster. Like Scott talked about last week, multi-geo support, right? Go local stuff. So you'll have the ability to have that contain, those recordings in the specific geo regions.
And that's a big deal with some of those entities, right? Like Germany.
Absolutely. Yep.
Jim, I have a question there. I guess it's more of a statement. Is part of the premise behind moving to OneDrive, is that really because of the sharing ease with OneDrive? Is that really behind that?
That's one of the big things, but retention policies were a really big thing for our customers. When you start looking at all the recordings they did, and a lot of intellectual property would sit out there in these recordings, and there was really no good way to either retain or clean up, right, to delete. So it was kind of a manual process, and really this brings that to fruition, right, is moving them to another location.
And I think a lot of people have a lot of familiarity with OneDrive, and being able to share from there. It just makes sense that you can now do that with your meetings.
Right, right. Yeah, and so ad hoc meetings will be stored in OneDrive, and then channel meetings will get stored in SharePoint.
Yeah, and to me, that's one of the biggest things. And I'm thinking of my one former customer who I love. They're great folks, but they had this one had gotten kicked down, like you said, kicked the can down the road. But their issue that they were having prior to that was they were at like 90 some odd % saturation, and it was all meetings that would have been, for by and large, in OneDrive. And if you're E3 and above, then you essentially have unlimited, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's a big deal. Very cool. Anything else you want to add on that, or?
No, like I said, I think provide a bunch of links at in the follow-up.
Yeah, I think this is a big one. And again, I think the piece they did move this back. Originally, I thought it was like June or
it's earlier.
So they have moved back, but I don't think they're moving anymore. And so be ready. Check out the links Jim's going to provide. This is actually a positive, as we've been moving infrastructure that was traditionally media services into the SharePoint/OneDrive proper. It just gives a lot more flexibility and all around that security and compliance area that was sorely lacking previous. So great stuff. Moving on from that, I understand that Mr. Ring Seeker, I don't know if he's the ring bearer yet, he's seeking the ring. So Tracy, you had something around Teams call center.
Yeah, I mean, so, just in my short time with Microsoft, I've learned a lot about call center. So at a really high level, just kind of what you would need to get those things going, auto attendance call centers. I've dealt with a lot of other technologies where it's pretty straightforward, and, with Microsoft and the licensing and everything that goes into that. So how exactly do you get started in building those things so you have better flow through your organization? And I put together just a quick one slider that gives those high level items. So let me share my screen here.
And while you're pulling that up, are you going to share that slide for us to put onto the post?
Sure. If you can post it, I can send it to you. Definitely.
Yeah. You can put it in the chat here later. Cool.
Yeah. So really, I mean, one of the first things when you're getting involved with the Microsoft phone system is really in your routing calls in your call center is how do you want those calls delivered, right? I mean, Microsoft has 3 options: direct route, where you can leverage your existing phone system infrastructure, connect your, a Microsoft certified border controller, obviously, and to route those calls in, or now something new that we have is Operator Connect, where you can keep your provider and route those calls right in, so you don't have that point of failure through your infrastructure. And then, calling plan is something where you're leveraging the Microsoft environment, so you can buy numbers or what they call it, do a change of responsibility rest board. You can move your numbers to Microsoft. One of the nice things that I've learned recently is you keep those numbers even if they move to Microsoft. You move them to the tenant, you can move them back out. So that's a really nice thing where customers are worried about their numbers, and they're ones that have been published everywhere. So once you have that down, and how you want to deliver your calls into the phone system, really it comes down to what licenses do I need. And the nice thing is you don't really. You have to create resource accounts and assign that number to those. But what the resource account is it allows you to connect that call queue or the auto attendant to that group. If you don't have licensing, you can request through your M365 admin center, you can request virtual licenses, and those, it looks like you're going through the purchase process, but they show up at a $0 amount for those virtual licenses you need. So that makes it really simple to get started building these resource accounts. Once you have those built, then you get into, okay, now who's going to be taking my calls and how does that look? So what there's a couple options. So this is the phone system is compatible with Teams, so you can assign your agents to a Teams channel and route the calls to that, and route the calls into Teams and take those calls that way. Another way is to just populate that call queue with users. There's a limit of 20 that I've seen on that, or you can add additional groups, security groups, things like that, to those to have a higher level. You can put 200 agents in that way. So, and once you figure out what your agent pool looks like, then you want to look at how those agents are going to receive those calls. Some companies will do it based on different skill sets and things like that. But on the slide here, there's a few options with attendant routing, serial routing, round robin, and longest idle. So typically what I've seen in most cases, you're going with the most idle agents. So that 4th option. So whoever's been around. Those can also be sent just to route the call into the agent pool, or you can do it based on presence. So if they're away, they won't, the hunt won't hit them or route the call to them. So, and then on the right side of the slide, there's just some overall guidance on how to get started. So, just kind of that order, how you want your calls to get there, whether or not you're going to use that border controller, you want to make sure it's certified and get that up to speed before you even think about routing the calls, and make sure it's supported. Make sure you have the licensing so you can create those, and then deciding who your agents are, and then you can build. Nice thing is you can either record your greetings, or you can just upload your hold music, depending on how you want what you want your users to hear, your customers, as they're waiting to be connected to that agent. So in a nutshell, like I said, very high level, just getting started, and what you need to get a call center going or an attendant. So it's just really quick and easy.
I'd like to jump in there. Just a couple of things that I've done a lot of contact center integration with some of the native things. A lot of questions I've actually received before or around the resource accounts, or if we want to keep that up.
You want me to keep that up?
Yeah, if you don't mind, if we keep that up and talk about that. So some of the questions I'd actually seen around the resource accounts, a lot of folks tend to get confused. The resource accounts those are there really for where you have your pilot numbers. Just to recap, that's really around either the auto attendant pilot number, or you would also have a pilot number for the call queue itself, which is part of that call routing. And then the resource accounts are actually allocated to it. And as Tracy had mentioned, those are a $0 but you do have to go through and provision those, in the Teams Admin Center. And then another question I've seen is also around, participants that actually participate in, well, naturally in an auto attendant, that's going to be a user that's phone system enabled, but it also to be able to participate in a call queue. I've seen a lot of questions around, well, I have users that may not be phone system enabled. And it is a prerequisite for the user to participate in a call queue. They do have to be phone system enabled as well. Mm-hmm. And there's also a third-party ecosystem around contact center with third-party integration, but we could probably go through that in a separate discussion. I can probably do that in one of the later meetings that we have, middays. But this is definitely a good start.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Awesome. So you're going to provide us then this slide and then some links, and we'll go ahead. We'll make sure everybody has that. And I think it's something that, that definitely when we think about a lot of our customers, at least in the healthcare space, they all are dealing with with call centers of some type, of some size and magnitude. And so, the biggest thing is, yes, Microsoft's ready to help move them to that consolidated effort with our own offerings around that.
Yeah, one of the nice things is some of those other solutions you're paying huge amounts of money for these licenses, and just to be able to route the call there. With here, it's kind of inherently built in, and that's the majority of call centers. They really don't need all that functionality. They just want to be able to distribute calls. So it's a great option.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I have two quick things that I'm going to cover. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I almost muted my mic. I almost clicked the wrong little doohickey. All right, let's see. And that should be showing up now. Oops. There we go. All right, so the first thing I wanted to talk, and this is really fast, and I'll give you the link. There's really not a whole lot to say here, but if you've missed this, they did announce the general availability of safe links, not self links, safe links for Microsoft Teams. And the beauty of that is, if you're, we've had things with email, and web pages, et cetera, checking links. This actually will let you right within a conversation. You can be in a chat session, a conversation in a team, sharing a link could be shared, and we'll real-time scan it if you've configured it. And I'll hit that in just a second. But that means at the point of click, we'll real-time scan, and then you'll get this pop-up, right? So if it's been classified as malicious, I actually hit this. It was last week. I saw this pop up, and I forget what the situation is. Somebody shared something, and it clicked, and it said it's been classified as malicious. It might not be safe. They do provide an option here where continue anyway, not recommended. That's part of the administrative control, though, whether you allow or not. But you can see here, if you go down, that to get started with this, I was surprised. I was like, oh, do we have to do a whole new licensing? And really, it's not. It's a new feature that's been enabled. So if you have Microsoft Teams and you're using Defender for Office 365, they have the configuration here, and it's configure a safe links policy in the Defender portal as a part of your 365 instance. We've got links to it. It's very easy to set up, and you can go ahead, quick configure a policy, and then take advantage of that. And that's just another area as we continue to move forward, with Teams becoming that single pane of glass to get work done. People send links all the time, and they may be sending a link they got from home or from somebody else. And you never know. I'll just say my wife's side of the family, she has some relatives that are wonderful, love them. They're a little older, and they love to share links. And then they wonder why the computers are always, why is it so slow? Well, you clicked here and you did, and I used to have to clean up my mother-in-law's frequently. So some of these links now we can, we'll flag them. If somebody goes ahead and inadvertently shares something in Teams, you'll be able to have that, again, to safeguard your enterprise, just another vector point taken out of the mix. So I'll post that here. The other that I wanted to quick share, I got hit up last week twice by customers about this. And so I'm going to pull up my little demo site here. And here you can see I'm running Viva Las Vegas. We're running Viva here in Microsoft Teams. It's Viva Connections. And under it, under Find, you'll see I've got some virtual facilities tours where you can actually click, and then it's just going to pull up this, what they call SharePoint spaces within Microsoft Teams. And I got asked, how do you get to spaces? They were not seeing it. So they're like, that is just really cool. I don't know why it's saying I have an error. I don't. And it's showing here. You can even see it in a headset. You can, tool around and take a look at stuff. How do you get this enabled and how does it show in Teams? And it's really simple. So if you have SharePoint, a site, modern framework, any SharePoint site, modern framework, simply go up to the little gear here, click that, click site information, then view all site settings. So we're going to go on into here, and here I believe it's site features, not site collection. So we'll just double verify that in a second. Coming on down, and sure enough, there it is. So spaces. This is a feature that is inherently, it's in there with SharePoint Modern Framework, but it's not turned on. You have to turn it on to get to it. So you simply come under here, just like these ones say activate, you click activate, it'll go ahead, make that active. Once it's active, then on SharePoint itself, let me go back to the website. To add a space at any point, you can do it a couple of ways. Number one, you can come right over here at the very top on the home page. If you have the ability to create new pages, under new, you will get this, not just pages and posts, but a space. You simply come in, click, say you want a space. I'll just call it demo space. You can give it a description. You then pick a structure that's going to kind of give the layout or the canvas for it. Some of them are kind of spacey looking. Some are plain. We'll pick in this one, Geodome. Then you click create. Once it creates, it's going to build the initial environment, this 3D space. There we are. So now we've got that, and it opens it in the edit view. Notice I can look around here, and I can do a couple of things. One, just quick click space design. Here I can go ahead, and you notice it has the background. So it's by an image. You can change the image. You can say, hey, I want to pick an illustration, and it'll give you a number of illustrations. You could pick one of those. You could pick a color, or if you have your own file that you want to add that's a 360 sphere, you can add that. So, again, if you have a 360 device, just a thing like an Insta360, that's an easy way to start doing this. Or you can pick a color. We'll just go ahead. Select, I didn't want illustration, I want color. Here we go. And once you've done that, you can also pick audio, which is kind of cool. I always typically pick none. If you have an audio file that greets people when they come in, you can have that running. Welcome to whatever it is, and put that in, or you can put stuff like music, rain, whatever. And so once you've designed the space, the last thing is to add content. And so people were asking me what kind of content they could add besides 360 tours. So here you can see, here's a 360 image. Here's a tour where it's a linked group of them. So you go from place to place to place in 360 degrees. You can add a 360 video. So I actually posted one of these up up where I was going through Haiti, and I was on the back of I was on a missions trip, and I was on the back of a 4-wheel drive vehicle called the Mule. And we were on the back of the Mule, and I had my 360 thing. We're going through villages and stuff, and you can actually, as it's going, the videos you're driving, but you can maneuver your view in 360s all around it. We also have 3D objects, document libraries. You can add a 3D carousel view to a document library, which is always pretty cool. And people can scroll through a carousel, pull up documents, open them, do it. Yeah, it's very, for virtual events, it's a great way to add collateral that people can take, right, for any given event. We have a file viewer, we have an image viewer, people, text, and video. So some pretty robust pieces here to make and people have used these for virtual conferences. Virtual tours right now seems to be the big one as people do return to work, especially if they're going to new places or reconfigured places where people can go again with a 360 camera, consumer grade, under $400, and capture 5K imagery. That's pretty killer. But you can go ahead and build it. But all you need to do, again, just the one last time, you go to Site Information, View All Site Settings, and then, yes, go ahead and leave. Yes, I want to leave the page. And then under Site Actions, it's, Manage Site Features. Scroll down to Pages, activate, and that's it. Then you can start playing. Highly recommend, check it out. I'll put some links about Spaces. There's tutorials online and use case scenarios you can use, but that's it. That's all I got.
A quick question on that, Mike. So then from external users coming in, this will just adhere to the regular whatever policies you have in place for external users. This should work pretty seamlessly all through a browser.
It's just SharePoint. It works through a browser. It also works through, though, the Teams client and even the Teams through a browser. So here I added it, right? I added this home page and then, navigating to here, but you can also go into any team, right? And because that's just a SharePoint page, when you go into a team, and let's say I'll go to inventory, maybe they're going to have 3D stuff there. You just go to the add a tab and select where it has SharePoint page. Come on, chug-a-lug-lug. There we go. So not SharePoint document library, come here to SharePoint, where it says view pages and lists, and just give the link to the actual page, and it'll render right into, so you don't even have to leave Teams. So you can build out your teams for that. For medical, there's a whole bunch of 3D models, like there's pumping hearts that people can maneuver, inspect, and if I had one use case, and then I'm going to shut up, with a hospital who used Insta360 1X. It's their latest edition, does the 5+K images. They use that to do virtual tours of the pre-op, the OR, and some other things. And since you could add all that stuff, it basically was for physicians who were traveling because of early on in COVID, the increased demands at certain places. They had to move physicians to different locations. They could become completely familiarized with what was available before they even got there, like right down to the sink and the
right, whatever tools.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, boy, is there some use case I can use with business intelligence, Power BI? I'm going to noodle on that one and check that out, but it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, you certainly, if you have reports and things you want to display up, those could be possibilities. Maneuvering or traveling to them, displaying them. Just as an example, if people are wondering, they're saying, I don't see the object type I want. If you add in a particular space the image, you can drop a picture of anything. So think of taking a snapshot of that Power BI report. And they then have the option, the default is inspect, which makes it big, but you can delete that and then say link. You can link to anything. It could be an internet page. It could be whatever. And we use that. One of my pharmas used it to do a worldwide virtual conference that they used to do physically. And they did the Teams sessions. They did live events for their general session for thousands of people. Then they had team meetings for the breakouts, and they just put the links, and they took PowerPoint, took pictures, made a PowerPoint slide of like a highlight saved as PNG, dumped those all in. So you went into the main lobby and it had proceed to this event, proceed to this, and just really cool stuff you can do there. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about today? Yes.
Okay, so I know we hadn't planned on this necessarily. I had just noticed that there's an announcement. It's on the PowerBI blog site. Number one, the July features summary just came out. So if anyone hasn't seen that, there's a lot of information there about what's new, what's being released, what's GA'd, what's previewed. It does come out every month, and we do anxiously wait for it to come out every month. So I noticed that there. The other that's really highly anticipated, I know I've talked about it before, is the Power BI Premium Gen 2. It was initially supposed to be GA'd here in July, but they really wanted to improve this capacity metric app. And it looks like the capacity app is going to be released on August 12th, and Premium Gen 2 will be released in GA September 27th. And the reason I mention it are three things. We're really anticipating the new hardware and improved performance. The second being auto scaling, allowing a customer to add one or many nodes for backup when you have high CPU, something you can just leverage and use when you need that on the fly. And then the third is no more management of the premium instances. Microsoft is going to do that so that our customers don't have to. You don't have to worry about jobs that are being aborted or CPU and memory and things that are happening in the environment. We're going to do all that for you. I think customers felt it was just a little too complicated for business analysts to own operations of business intelligence. So you won't have to do that moving forward, and that's what we're all anticipating. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's definitely a big. You don't want people having to manage that, right?
No.
Yeah. Cool. No, I'm glad you jumped in. That was great. Just send me the links. We'll make sure we include them.
Okay, will do.
Well, I guess that's it for today. I know I'm hungry. I don't know about the rest of you. I'm ready. Lunchtime here for Mike. So for MidDay Cafe, this is Mike and
Scott,
Tracy,
Kendra,
and Jim.
Yes, and we bid you have a great week. Just as an FYI, this next Monday we will have a new host for Monday. Stepping in is going to be Kendra. So Kendra's going to be doing a meeting planning on Friday, and then actually, yes. So Jim's doing the clapping. And then she's going to host on Monday. Sadly, I'll be in the ocean in Florida.
Oh, please.
So, yeah, it'll be a great session. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to watching it as somebody tuning in later. So with that, take care, everybody. Have a great week. And with that, we're going to end MidDay Cafe.
Bye.